by providing that information really early in the process, that person will have a better health outcome. Hi, I'm Leslie Miguel. I'm the president and CEO of MedicAlert, and I'm here today with my new friend Karma from Mabels Labels.
Hi, Leslie. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
I'm Karma. I'm the general manager of Mabels Labels. I'm also the mother to a 16-year-old boy who has severe life-threatening allergies as well.
Wow, that's tough as a parent.
It's tough.
It's
yeah,
really
it has
tough.
had its moments.
Tell me about his story. Tell me a little bit about how you learned.
Yeah, so back when he was just before he turned 3, we were at a restaurant, one of those sports bars with peanuts all over the floor, and he had never had any nuts up to this point, and my husband said, hey, why don't you try a peanut? And he just immediately got kind of foamy at the mouth and coughing and drooling, and over the course of the next 15 minutes or so, he kind of went in between being very lethargic and very upset and crying. So we knew we had a bit of an issue. So whisked him off to the hospital after some poor advice. Take him to a walk-in clinic, take him to a pharmacy, and then eventually ended up at emergency where thankfully we got there in time.
So that's important. Time is of the essence when you have a child who's anaphylactic.
Yes.
That is a lesson that nobody wants to learn, but it's so true. It's really difficult. It's one of the things and why we exist. If you take a look at our story, MedicAlert, we were founded by a physician whose daughter had an anaphylactic reaction to actually a medication. This was back in the 1950s. So we've been around a really long time, and we have had some really incredible experiences about how do we help families with anaphylaxis. And it's wonderful to have the partnership with Mabels because we do different things, but we're complementary in the work that we do.
Very much so. The Mabels products for sure have given me peace of mind over the years. I mean, Evan is 16 now, so he's very good at self-advocating and everything. But when he was young, all of the labels that informed his caretakers and the school lunch people of his allergies were really helpful.
So what did you learn as a parent was necessary? You talked a little bit about products that helped when Evan was younger, but as he got older, is he a camp kid? Did he go to camp?
He is a camp kid, and he's also an elite athlete as well.
Okay.
So he's traveled a lot on his own with his ski racing. So for camp, for sure, there was a lot of conversation. When he first went to camp, he was only 6. So there was a lot of conversations with the camp leading into that time to make sure that we all felt comfortable and that he felt comfortable and supported as well when he was away from home. He started out going for 1 week, then 2, and then a full month. So it was important that I understood what the camp provided in terms of allergy support and safety. So he took his own EpiPens labeled with his name. He took all of his own Benadryl and his inhalers and everything, all labeled with Mabels Labels, just so they were clearly identifiable. So he always had medication and EpiPens with him in his cabin, but then they also had some in the medical cabin with the nurse and the doctors. So if they ever needed it, clearly identifiable with his name and his concerns.
That's great. And for kids who are part of our program at MedicAlert, the additional things in addition to the labels are things that actually sit on the bracelets. I wear one myself. I've been a 40-year subscriber to MedicAlert. I have anaphylaxis to many different things and a whole bunch of other things that I've added along the way as I've gotten older. But my daughter was a camp kid as well, and she wears an ID, and I always wanted to make sure that the nurses at the camp were well aware of the challenges that she had, and what were they going to do, and do they know that they actually can use the ID to actually get access to a record that sits in the background, because that's the value of what we offer. Is we always say the bracelet is just the beginning, and really the value for first responders. And first responders are all different kinds of things. We often think about police, paramedics, fire as the traditional first responders, but they're forgotten first responders in the mix. Nurses at camps, for example, or pharmacists who may have access to information around allergies or medication allergies, whatever it may happen to be. And by providing that information really early in the process, and there's all kinds of research to back this up, that person will have a better health outcome if the first responder, whoever they may be, has access to that information early on before they arrive on scene is the best way possible. So we talk about advocating. That's a big part of what we do. So how were you able to support advocacy for Evan before he was able to advocate for himself?
Yeah, there's just a lot of meetings with people, a lot of meetings with teachers as the new school years start, and a lot of meetings with, daycare providers, camp counselors and directors. That's what I usually did, just, before Evan started anything new, whether it was a sport or an activity or, an extracurricular, whatever the case may be. It was always, okay, well, he has allergies, this is what he's allergic to, this is the medications he carries, this is the kind of protocol if anything were to happen, and what to look for, because that's the other thing, not everybody knows the signs and what to look for if a reaction is going to happen. So a lot of conversations.
Absolutely. So for MedicAlert, one of the things that's really important beyond the database that we have that first responders have access to is our program called No Child Without. And that program is being expanded actually as we speak right now, so that we can teach kids at a much younger age the concept of self-advocacy, so that if they're in the classroom and they're 5 years old and they might happen to have an allergy, but they don't know how to actually speak for themselves, then they have the ability in the words at 5 to be able to articulate that. That's part of what we're helping kids to learn. We're working on a peer program so their friends in the classroom can help. We're working on a teacher's program as well so that they can learn how to work with children who have different kinds of conditions.
What I did find really interesting when Evan was very small, it was the kids surrounding him that were the biggest advocates for him, which I found really interesting. He would get an invitation to a birthday party and I would reach out to a mom and say, I'm not sure if you're aware, but Evan has these allergies. Oh, I know. Robbie already told me, and we're not having any nuts, and we're not having anything at the party, so we're all safe. So I would always, offer to bring a special treat for Evan if it was easier for the mother, and because I know it can be quite stressful for people that don't have experience with an allergic child. But it was always the other kids that were his biggest advocates, which I always found so interesting.
Which is terrific. So when we call it encircled care. So when we can surround the child with the allergy or the health challenge with peers who know, with teachers who know, with friends who know, anybody in their community, and we can teach them how to work and advocate, not just advocate, but also know what to do, especially with anaphylaxis, then that means that you as a parent can be much more comfortable in letting your child have and live a normal life, because I'm sure in those first few years, as you were sort of learning all about Evan's challenges with anaphylaxis, you were terrified.
It was very scary at the beginning. And I think my husband and I made a decision right from the get-go that we weren't going to let it rule our lives. I know other allergy moms, and some of them are very nervous and really don't allow their kids to have some experiences because of their allergies. And I didn't want to take that approach. It was really important to me that Evan led an absolutely normal life. He went to camp, he went to birthday parties, and I just kind of tailored my communication and how I acted in order to give Evan those experiences. So it was very important that it didn't rule our lives and that we weren't constantly talking about it and constantly making him feel like he had an issue or, he was different in that way. So he learned very early on that, yes, this is my reality, and but I can manage it. And as long as I'm careful and I talk to people and I advocate for myself, I can do whatever I want to do. And that's wonderful. There are some families where that's not the case. We may have families with children where there are language barriers and challenges like that. Yeah. And so part of that is being able to arm people with the tools necessary to be able to help themselves or to help their children, whether that comes in the form of labels and supports that go along and travel along with the child, like our IDs, or whether that goes with a broader program that we offer. So it's important to be able to make sure that kids have a normal life. I can think back to when I was in school, there was no such thing as restrictions on peanuts and things coming back, and there's been a lot of change from that time. But there's still
there's still that concern and that worry that parents have, and not every parent is like you.
No.
And so part of the whole process, and I think why we work so well together, is that we provide the tools and the support and give parents that peace of mind that they are looking for sure.
Yes, for sure. I know. I really appreciated. We have a product at Mabel's called the Emergency Contact Labels, and that has everything on it. It's a nice bright red color. It's got the child's name and every bit of contact information for the parents and whatever the health concern is right on there. So just being able to have that front of mind, it's similar to your bracelets, and that information access is so important.
Absolutely, because it's not necessarily always one thing. It could be several different things that are happening at the same time. You're nodding,
That's right.
And so to be able to help when first response gets on scene, if something happens, which it does, it happens more regularly than people might think. So this is the starting point for the information exchange, and then as first responders get into our database and they are able to look more holistically, the stories that we have about kids who have been helped by whether it's labeling or whether it's our database, and the relief that the parent feels when the outcome is good is an incredible feeling. And so I feel good about it. I know you feel good about it too, don't you?
For sure. Definitely. It's just that calm, just that peace of mind, and just being able to provide that information and help.
Yep. And when you can't be
people safe, and
you can't be everywhere.
You can't be everywhere, and you have to, let them fly.
Absolutely.
And so it's excellent.
Great. Thanks, Karma.
Thank
It's been
you.
fun talking with you.
Thank you. It's so nice to talk to you as well, and thanks for teaching me, because I learned a lot about your product and your services. So
Thank you so much.